Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bet99's The Parleh Show. It is Thursday. I am Rob Conway alongside Justin Pooney in Toronto. We are all jacked up because the NFL is back.
It's back.
Kind of. Hall of Fame game tonight, and one of our co-hosts has a vested interest in it, and that is Matthew Barnaby in Ottawa. Matt, it's a big day for you. Big day. Because the entire season rides on the outcome of tonight's Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Normally, I wouldn't
not.
watch the Hall of Fame game, and I don't care much about preseason because it's all backups that are playing. But I think it's actually big. You got Brownlee that's having a big camp, undrafted wide receiver at camp. Mekhi Becton, excuse me, he's missed 2 years of football. So a former first-round pick. He's lost like 60 pounds. Curious to see how he plays if he can get back into that starting lineup. And Zach Wilson. Just want to see him keep on improving. And when Aaron Rodgers is done, it's done. But it's also a big day. Joe Klecko, one of the members of the Sack Exchange back in the 80s, is going into the Hall of Fame. And Darrelle Revis, one of the best to ever play the position, is going into the Hall of Fame. So it's a big day if you're a New York Jets fan.
Well, that's very exciting for you, Matthew Barnaby. We are all happy that you're going to be able to enjoy the game. Go ahead, Justin.
Look, I was going to say, I'm agreeing with Barney right now. I cannot wait. I don't even care if it's preseason football.
Of course not. Yeah.
I just can't wait to see some real live NFL action. Although it will be all backups, but there's some interesting things like Mekhi Becton missed last 2 years, lost all that weight. Can he re-solidify himself on the New York Jets? It's going to be interesting to see, what the Browns got, some of their depth pieces. A team like the Cleveland Browns that, like the New York Jets, has a lot of pressure to perform well. Kevin Stefanski, what's up with Deshaun Watson? Can he finally, put it together after taking a year off and some with his suspension? Can he return to being the Deshaun Watson that we saw in Houston? But I'm excited. I'm pumped. I cannot wait to watch some NFL football tonight. And then right after that, starting next week, more preseason action kicks off. NFL's here, boys.
It's here. It is here. I would like to remind you that the Toronto Argonauts are 6-0 for the first time in 100 years, and your BC Lions 6-1. And Red Black's not doing as well, Brian.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of it. The CFL's, when the playoffs come around, if the Argos win it, I'll watch it. But no, NFL preseason, unfortunately, is going to take the
shout
cake.
out to the Argos. They're defending Grey Cup champs.
First time in like 100 years they're 6-0, which is wild. But it's not that big of an accomplishment to be 6-0. But it is apparently for the Argos, Barn.
Yeah, they went. It's great for the Argos. I actually can't name a player in the league, so that's how much I follow the CFL. I don't.
I'm sure there's a lot of people
other than Zach Wilson. I didn't know any of the guys you were talking about either for tonight's football game, so I don't know.
Hey, who is your team in the NFL, by the way?
It's tough. Like, I don't particularly have a team because my favorite player was Peyton Manning, and I haven't really. I kind of like Joe Burrow, so I'm kind of like Cincinnati right now, but I cheer for Buffalo a little because everyone around me, but I don't really care about. Like, I don't live and die on any team.
Pick a team right now.
September 11th, November 19th. Those are the two games, baby.
It's going to be good.
Pick a team right now. Pick a team right now.
Pick a team right now on the spot.
Sign your allegiances right now.
I like players. So the most exciting player right now for me to watch is Deebo Samuel. So I'll go with the 49ers, but not really. I would rather watch a quarterback. So probably I'll go Cincinnati. I'll be. Okay. I don't want. Yeah, I'll go.
All right,
Cincinnati.
you're a Bengals fan from now on.
That's the problem. Why can't he play on like a team that's not Cincinnati Bengals? No offense.
You're a Bengals
fan. And you got to wear orange.
No, I don't look good in a lot of colors.
Bengals
Orange
have
is not
some
one
of the
them.
best uniforms in football. I like to say they're white uniforms, they're black uniforms. They're clean. They are very clean.
No. Well, Joe Cool and Rob. Okay. Joe Burr. I love it. All right, let's get a little baseball. The Jays last night get a W finally against the AL East leading Baltimore Orioles. And we got a little clip here, a graphic to put up here, Barney, because I'll get his answer later on because Sean McCormick will join us in a couple of about 20, 30 minutes. But he went to the game last night, and part of the parlay, he went against the Blue Jays. Why you would go to a game and bet against the team you're cheering for, I have no idea. And he said it's the reverse curse. This is your reply. At least one of us stuck with them, and you cash big. That is a nice little hitski there for Matthew Barnaby. But more importantly, I said there's no emotional hedges in the parlay. We're representing the show,
yes.
And we're trying to put together a ticket. You can't be making picks on emotional hedges, right, Bart?
No. You emotionally hedge when it's your team and you go to the game. My stepson does it all the time with the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. He'll bet against the other team, and he finds that number that he can be happy with if his team does lose in the Golden State Warriors. So, but no, not on the parlay. You got to pick a winner.
Yes.
And I stuck with the Blue Jays. I had lost 2 games in a row for a lot less money, so stuck to it, and they paid off big. Thank you.
We went 0 for 3 last night.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, the Phillies lost in extras. Boston lost. They had a lead and they blew it. And then, of course, Sean took the Orioles, and we know the answer there. Barney, here's the worst because you did miss out on the Cubs, and since you bet them and lost, they've scored 36 runs in 2 games.
I know. Like they lose 6. I think it was 6-5 the game that I had bet them. And then they run off 16 and 10 back to back.
20, 16 and 20,
betting, man.
I know.
It's amazing when you take football games, whatever it may be, and you see crazy stuff. You think, oh, it's only because I put the $100 on it, or $10 or 20, whatever the number is.
Yeah,
it's sports. People are human, and these things happen all the time.
It is 100%. We got a minute left here, Justin, from the game last night. Yes. George Springer got a hit. Barney, I'm going to ask you about this in the next segment, but he decided to change up his routine before the game.
Superstition.
But it worked. He got an RBI single. I've never seen a guy more relieved to get a hit. Good for him, but what were your thoughts on the game? Finally getting a W.
I think the biggest thing was that Springer got a hit. And you say Kikuchi's performance. He was really good last night. But to see a guy like Springer, who was one at bat away from breaking the franchise record for the biggest hitless streak ever, that is theater right there. He got it. You saw how amped up he was. It was like a little blooper in the 4th inning. It wasn't a pretty hit, nothing. But sometimes it's all you need. You got to go to those dirty areas, and you get rewarded. And you got rewarded, and let's see if you can turn it around.
Yeah, let's see if he can. We'll talk a little bit more about the Jays in the next segment, as well as the NFL. Lots of stuff going on, including a game tonight. We'll be back after this. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. I'm Rob Conway in Toronto. Justin Pooney joining me as always, as well in studio, and from Ottawa, our co-host Matthew Barnaby. And Barney, this is going to be your last block, so I wanted to do this right off the top. The Parleh will be on a little bit later in the show when Sean joins us at the end. We were just talking in the break what our picks were, and Justin tried to take mine.
You gotta build the suspense.
Well, he's trying to take the Jets -2, and I just want to know, is that going to be your thing? Like I said, I don't think you can make that pick because I think Barney's going to be all over it.
I actually hadn't even looked at it yet.
-2, and the over/under is 33.5, which is hilarious. But anyway.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to be taking the Jets, but it's not in my parlay.
Okay.
Only because Zach Wilson, I think, has something serious to prove here.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be letting him loose in today's game. He really has something to prove. But I'm on the Jays, baby. I'm on the Jays. That's my pick. I'm going back. Gosman pitching. I'm going back to the Jays, and I'm going very big.
All right, I like it. Okay. Now, we were talking about it before the break with George Springer, and he decided to change up some of his things he does pregame trying to get a hit. Did you ever have any superstitions that you had pregame?
You know what? I wasn't a superstitious guy, but certainly if I hadn't scored or hadn't been playing well, you did change it up. But I was probably the least superstitious guy. I'm a creature of habit, so I always got dressed the same way at the same time. But that was just for mental preparation. It wasn't that I believe that I was going to, if I ate a certain thing, that I was going to play well, or if I didn't do this or I didn't do that. I just kind of kept my routine the same because that's just the way that I approached every single game. Paul Correa, the most superstitious guy I've ever seen, and some guys, like, he'd have his sticks, he'd do his stretching. He was like just like a weirdo when he was in the dressing room, but certainly worked for him. But every once in a while, I'd go push his sticks over and or get him out of his routine and have to start right from scratch, just redo everything. So pretty funny when guys are pretty superstitious and how you can mess with them.
I remember telling someone I was golfing with when we were playing, and they were like talking about something, a golf ball they had to play or something. And I'm like, you're shooting like 95. Why don't you mix it up a little bit? All right. You're not. Oh no, I got to play this ball. I'm like, well, it's not working for you, so try something else. It's funny. Maybe it's one of those things. You just want to feel different, right? Justin, you just want something else to happen.
It's like that TikTok. You're not that guy.
You're not that guy.
You're not that guy.
Exactly. Do you have any superstitions before the show?
Before the show? No. I do not have any real superstitions before the show.
Okay.
I like to have a coffee before the show.
Yeah, we
but-
know. You leave him around the office all the time.
Is that a thing? Behind the scenes, like, are you guys talking about how Rob leaves his coffee
Yes,
cups everywhere?
it's very noticeable that Rob leaves his coffee cups lying around.
Live on TV, I'm finding out that there's a rumor about. Well, it's not really a rumor; it's a fact. But apparently, listen, I'm the first one who leaves. If I was the last one to leave, I would clean it all up.
Superstition.
What?
That's your superstition. You leave half-drank coffee cups around the office here.
You have so
That's
much
just
information.
laziness.
He knows they're half drank too. This is a full. After the show, I got to have a full sit down with everyone to make sure that everyone still has likes Rob and that he a little bit of. All right, I'm thrown out. No, I'm kidding. It's not a big deal. So Barney, preseason tonight. Obviously, we talked a little bit about it. It's not the end of the world. What happens in the thing when it comes to the final score? But for the Jets, do you think that? Like Aaron Rodgers is going to be there? What's he doing? Is he going to be clipboard Aaron? Obviously, he's not playing, but is he even in the building? Is he talking with Zach? What's he going to be doing there? Talking with other guys that maybe matter more on a daily basis for him?
No, he's going to be on the sideline. I think he's really taking this mentorship with Zach Wilson to next level. And I don't know if he was that way with Jordan Love. I don't think he was, but certainly has taken that on when he's got to the New York Jets. So I see him helping Zach most of all, encouraging all the young guys and being through there, just helping them. He's been unbelievable ever since he stepped on the field and been in the building with the New York Jets. So I don't see that stopping tonight. I think he'll be a big part of it. And I saw them visiting on Twitter and all that. His jersey, everything. There was a big thing of him already in the Hall of Fame, and certainly he will be enshrined in a few years when he decides, after winning a Super Bowl with the New York Jets, to go in as a New York Jet.
Yeah, sure.
What's so funny?
What?
Why are you laughing?
I thought what's so funny
About him going in as a Jet? You're talking into Canton, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to go as a Packer.
No. He's going in as a Packer. Come on.
He might go into the Jets Hall of Fame too.
He's going to the Jets ring. If he wins a Super Bowl,
he's in the Jets.
If he wins a Super Bowl with the Jets, is he a better all-time Jet than Joe Namath?
Wow, you have to ask Barney.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
His name was Broadway Joe. Yeah. He was synonymous with the Jets. Wore the mink coat all the time.
What have you done for me lately?
That's true. That is true.
That was 1972, a year before I was born. I haven't seen the championship.
Oh,
and I love
Broadway
enough. Joe. I used to play in his golf tournament. Great guy. But I'm all on Ron, baby. Let's go.
Sounds good. I had a question for you, Barney. We're talking about mentorship between Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson. Was there ever a guy when you were playing that kind of took you under his wing, especially early on in your career?
You know what, Rob Ray was always he was tough on me. Mm-hmm. Pat LaFontaine was unbelievable. Obviously, different style, but I'd say the biggest was probably Brad May, who stayed a great friend after, one of the few guys that I really talked to on a daily basis. And I actually just talked to him before we got on the show. So he kind of gave me the ins and outs, told me that I could be, a better player than just a fighter and to play hockey because I had some skill. So he really led the way. He was just great with the rookies, just a great person, and a big reason that I kind of channeled my game in the way that I did was because of Brad. Rob was good too. Rob was just really tough on the rookies, and Pat LaFontaine was just an awesome dude too.
Nice. Another guy giving a little mentorship was Peyton Manning into Green Bay to talk with the aforementioned Jordan Love, and perhaps he wasn't, getting the same sort of mentorship as you're thinking that Rodgers is giving Wilson. But here's Manning, an opportunity to come in there and talk with that rookie. What are your expectations, Barn, for Jordan Love this year? I'll just give you a couple of stats here, or betting lines here. Over 21.5 touchdowns is the line, or over under. I think that's quite high, minus 112 on both sides. For them to make the playoffs is plus 165, to win the North plus 400. We won't worry about the Super Bowl in the NFC. That's not happening. Yeah. But what are your expectations for him and for this Packers team?
My expectation isn't that high. I'll take the under on the 7.5 wins. They were 8-9 with Aaron Rodgers last year.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll take under 21.5 touchdowns. Yeah. I think 14 quarterbacks had over 18 last year. It went from 24 to 18, so 14. Is he in the top 14 quarterbacks in the NFL? No, it's hard for. I know he's not a rookie, but he's a rookie. This is his first year that he's going to start. Here's one for you. Name one wide receiver on the Green Bay Packers, and you can't use Christian Watson.
Romeo Doubs.
Okay, you got one. There you
Justin's
go.
good. I have no idea. Justin's it's hard to stump him, but I have no idea.
I think it's going to be interesting.
Is Cobb and all those guys gone? Like,
Cobb's gone now.
Did they drag them all to the Jets like you wanted to?
Yeah, Cobb and Lazard are going to the Barney
Rogers actually get them all over there? Okay, there you go.
To me, the interesting thing is now.
All of them.
What I'm really interested in to see is Matt LaFleur. So when he came in, of course, he came under Sean McVay from that system, had to kind of mold his system around Aaron Rodgers. Now he kind of has that weight of Aaron Rodgers not being around, not there anymore, right? Mm-hmm. He can coach however he wants to coach and kind of mold Jordan Love into how he wants his quarterback to play this system. So, look, 21.5, it is high, right? But when you have a guy like Christian Watson, who was a touchdown monster once him and Aaron Rodgers started get going, and I think he's got potential to be a top 10 wide receiver in football. I can see Christian Watson potentially getting double-digit touchdowns this year because, like we mentioned, he's really the only target the Green Bay Packers have. What will we see from Romeo Doubs? They lost Robert Tonyan, but they still have Aaron Jones out of the backfield and A.J. Dillon, who can catch the ball in Aaron Jones. So it will be closer to your thing. I would say he's going to touch at least 20 touchdowns this year through the air for Jordan Love.
I think that the under 21.5 is more likely, but the over 7.5, that running back duo is pretty good. But Barney, we got to take off here to break, but real quick, what are your plans tonight? You got 20 seconds here. What are your plans for the game tonight?
I am going to be home on the couch. The wife is taking a bunch of girls to Barbie. And Ken is staying home to watch his New York Jets, and they are going to get a win. Let's go Wilson. Let's go Mekhi Becton, and let's go Brownlee.
All right, let's start the winning streak tonight for the Jets. And Ken, enjoy the game tonight. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. All right, coming up after this, we're going to talk a little bit of Major League Baseball. The Blue Jays will wrap up their series at about 3 o'clock today in Toronto with the Orioles. So Sean McCormick, he'll be to my left. Right when we come back for Rob and Justin, we'll be here as well on Bet99's The Parleh Show. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Thank you to Matthew Barnaby for stopping by.
There's the guns,
Big
the gun
game
show
for him with the Jets and Browns in the Hall of Fame game. But last night, one Sean McCormick. This is Sean McCormick over here if you don't watch the show, but I'm sure you're familiar with him. If you do, was at a Jays game.
I was.
Which he never told anybody he was going to, which you don't have to. You're more than welcome to your private time. But to find out later that you had picked against the Jays in the parlay, and your excuse being that it was the reverse curse, as if you sewered the rest of us just so you could have a winning game that you attended.
Nobody wants to go to a game and see the team that you cheer for lose.
Exactly why you shouldn't put them into the parlay.
But also nobody wants to be fleeced on a pick.
No, I legitimately thought the Orioles were going to win. I mean, the Jays, they scrounged together 3 hits. Oh, there's Barnaby's win.
This is the third time Barney got up there.
Making me feel bad about my pick being wrong and Barnaby's pick being right.
Yeah.
They got 3 hits and Matt somehow got 4 runs. Kikuchi looked pretty.
They had no hits when they got the 3 runs. It was amazing. Your boy Shintaro Fujinami, who remember on the show you said had good underlying numbers.
I stand by that.
Yeah, well, he can't. He throws 101 like Jordan Hicks, but his movement was into the body and not into the plate.
Yeah, no, again, with a pitcher like that where you have that kind of velocity and a decent secondary pitch, you take a chance on a guy like that. Right?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Sometimes, I think his previous 3 outings he was scoreless, and then
I know, we're in August though.
Yeah,
I think the biggest 2 takeaways for me from the game was George Springer finally got a hit, which we talked about with Barney.
What a celebration!
What a moment! It looked like he won the World Series.
Well, I don't know about that.
Touch them all, George.
Touch them all, George. Touch them all.
Touch first.
Touch one, George.
Hey, that might have been the biggest hit at the newly renovated Rogers Center so far.
Sure. Okay.
Because
I don't know about
this
that.
This guy's such a hater.
Think about it. It was a huge, monumentous occasion that George Springer avoided becoming in franchise lore for going over 36. He did it. Good job, George Springer. But also Yusei Kikuchi. Let's talk about him because he was a guy that grew a beard and now has grown into one of the better pitchers on the Blue Jays staff. Like that segue right there. 6 innings pitched against 6 hits, but only 1 earned run, 3 Ks, 1 base on ball. Sean, what would you say has been the biggest change to Kikuchi's game this year?
Is it the beard?
I'm saying it's the beard.
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's your analysis.
That's my analysis.
Riveting.
Those are the underlying numbers.
Oh, the underlying numbers is his facial hair is grown by 2.2 beards per 9.
Yeah.
Well, he's walking a lot less batters. I mean, in 2022, he had 5 walks per 9, and then this season it's 2.65 walks per 9. He's using a curveball a lot more than he used it last season as well. It was his 5th pitch last year, using it 0.6% of the time, so he barely ever threw it. So this year he's throwing it 16% of the time. So getting some whiffs on that is beneficial, so that he's less predictable on the fastball. So yeah, Kikuchi, solid. I mean, you could make arguments that he becomes their 3rd starter over Bassett. We'll see as time goes on, and if we even have to get into this conversation, depending on if the Jays make it to the playoffs. But really impressive. A 9-3 record is also impressive. One of the bright spots for the Jays this season.
Yeah, Bo Bichette lands on the IL with a right patellar tendonitis, and good, because I mean, look, it's not good, but it's good because structural damage. Structural damage,
no structural
right?
damage,
So I mean, that's why it was better news than obviously if it was just fine, but that would be better. But nonetheless, Paul DeJong makes his debut, and man, was that beautiful! The first swing grounds into a double play. I'm like, this is a great addition to a team. He fits right in. But in the end, he's going to get a lot of playing time right now. And look, when I saw Jordan Hicks, I missed him in his first game watching it, and it was just so nice to see that 101 on the screen pop up all the time, and the balls are moving, and it's just, that's what I've said on this show a million times that they needed, and to see him come out there and throw like that. Look, Paul DeJong, I'm joking about the double play. He'll fit in from a defensive standpoint. No one's replacing Bo Bichette with hits. He leads the AL in that, or he won't, but he had up until his injury. And so, I mean, I like the additions, but what do you think Paul DeJong is going to be doing going forward? Do you think he's going to get the bulk of the time, or are they going to figure out a way? Does that mean a guy like Biggio and Espinal don't actually get pushed down as much as you might have thought?
Well, for the time being, while Bichette's out, DeJong will just play short because that's his natural position. So that's where he'll slot in. I expect him to play every day just because of the defensive numbers that you laid out. I mean,
can anyone else play short? Other than Espinal
and Merrifield could probably play.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of a way that they, if they had Merrifield go over there, DeJong go to second. And that would be the only way, right?
Yeah, but I mean, since short is generally like the more important.
It's very
fielding position. You would keep your better defender there in DeJong, and then
put Merrifield
at second, or Espinal or Biggio,
and then your normal outfield, Kiermaier, Varsho, and Springer.
So I do think you'll see slight reductions in playing time for Biggio and Espinal, and then once Bichette comes back, it can vary. I mean, Mitch Garver of the Texas Rangers had this injury earlier this year, and he missed the minimum 10 days. But it can go 6 weeks, it can go 4 weeks, it can go 2 weeks.
You never know with soft tissue injuries, right? And that's something that I think, in this instance, yes, they're in the middle of a playoff run. They're in the middle of a heated battle for the final wild card spot. I'd rather see them take their time and not rush Bichette back.
Sure.
You want them to be 100%, not 90%. And then especially with soft tissue injuries, they linger. Like you mentioned, they can be just a couple weeks, or it could be an extended period of time. So this is something that the Jays have to tread carefully with. Make sure that he's 100% right. He's comfortable going out there every day. And something that doesn't linger. Because if it lingers again, and he misses some time in late August and September, then that's even more trouble for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah. On the other hand, they need to win ball games, right? That's the thing.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, right. If they're the Baltimore Orioles, they probably say take your time unless we go on a losing streak.
I think it goes as the Blue Jays go, right?
Yeah.
If
they're winning,
they're doing okay,
yeah,
then I think you can take your time a bit. But how many times have we seen guys like with more serious injuries like Tommy John rush back, or just to try and help their players down the playoff push? We'll get to maybe next segment. I'll talk about Clayton Kershaw a little bit, but like that guy's injured every year, but yet he always finds his way back to the playoffs to either help in a bullpen role or help as a starter. And Bo Bichette should probably do the same if he's able to, if he's healthy enough to do it, to come back early and enough to make sure that the Blue Jays.
Did you guys see when Kikuchi injured his shoulder yesterday? Yeah, so I had to have surgery on my shoulder because it popped out, and then once it pops out, it pops out all the time. Obviously, his just strained a little bit. But if that had been in his left arm, left shoulder, that could have been bad.
Yeah,
I thought
not like missing months, but like he would not have been able to continue in the game. I don't think.
No, and I think you got to. it's that time of year now. Guys are hitting that point where it's been a long, grueling season. Everybody's it's 100+ games for every team now. We're heading down the stretch one where now injuries are going to flare up. Right now it's all right. It's the battle of attrition. Who's got the most amount of fresh arms, fresh bats, fresh position players, and those teams that are well equipped with that and are hit with injuries are going to have a better chance to make a playoff push than those that don't. And the Jays, we've talked about their depth a lot this year. Yes, they've helped it out a bunch since the deadline, but their depth was an issue earlier this year.
They've been remarkably healthy.
Now this depth is going to be tested going forward, and if they can hold up and at least stand pat while these injuries are going on.
I think they're second in lost man games in Major League Baseball, and just the reason I bring that up too with Kikuchi is because who would have thought before the season started that you would have had to hold your breath a little bit thinking Kikuchi might be injured, and here he is, a significant part of this lineup, and that starting rotation's been pitching unbelievable. Finally allowing him to go a little bit deeper into games, and giving him an opportunity there. And if you can shorten that bullpen up and get that ball, I think, to Hicks and then Romano when he's back, even Swanson's been good too. I think they're in a good spot there.
Yeah, and I mean, I keep harping on it too. Chad Green will be back with this organization in a couple weeks as well. He's still working through the minors. Fantastic bullpen. Usually, I mean, we've seen some issues here.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, Mitch White's no longer part of the problem, but Nate Pearson, who's now back in AAA, he's had a couple off appearances lately.
After
they sent him back down.
Okay.
Just I'm sure he'll be back up with the club again. Once September rolls around and the rosters expand, he'll definitely be with the club. But again, maybe you're just not using him in high leverage situations. He had been really, really good for chunks of the season, but again, I'm not worried about the bullpen. I'm worried a bit about the back end of the rotation, but that's we'll see. Again,
doesn't matter if they make the playoffs, but they have to get there first, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's hugely important. So we'll see what happens. Big game again today against the Orioles at 3:00.
Speaking of which, Jack Flaherty making his debut for the Orioles. They are significant underdog at +140. We already know what side you're going with, but you're clearly an Orioles guy now.
No.
And or maybe because you're not attending the game.
No, it's Gosman on the mound today. I side with the Jays. Jack
I think
Flaherty.
It's a significant number though, -165. That's a lot.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a lot.
Honestly, if I would probably take the Orioles at +140 for the value. I think that's a smart.
That's exactly
play.
why I would take the Orioles.
Yeah.
Plus, the Jays are just so inconsistent that I probably would take the Orioles in this.
Yeah, it's a stay away from me.
I
agree with you that the price is a little high, but I have a slight lean to the Jays. The price is tough. Again, Gosman's the second best pitcher right now in the AL, probably behind Garrett Cole. Second in majors and strikeouts behind Spencer Strider. So again, it's tough to bet against Kevin Gausman. And again, the Jays can show up when they're needed. Obviously, without Bichette in the lineup, the offense is going to hurt. Basically, you don't have George Springer in the lineup because he can't hit right now. So the offense is struggling. Maybe I look at the under, but I think it's over under 8. And both offenses can put up numbers. But
you saw the Orioles 13 runs the other day.
If I were to place a bet on this game, it would be the under 8.
Just in the last 4 days listening to a lot of talk radio here in Toronto, the amount of excitement for the prospects of what Baltimore is going to be in this division over the next 7 to 8 years. Yeah. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman already up. Jackson Holiday, obviously. Grayson Rodriguez, you saw last night. It's ridiculous. And then you had guys like Cedric Mullins. But we saw that in Toronto. Vladdy, Bichette, at the time Biggio. Doesn't always work.
You look at
right?
the
doesn't
Orioles,
always work, but right now they look really, really good.
It was just again during that same
not that
time,
it hasn't worked for the Jays, but they're not winning World Series after World Series either.
During that same time, remember the Orioles were good with guys like Adam Jones and they had Chris Davis. Remember they were competing for playoff position for years, and then they took a bit of a downturn, replenished the system, and now they're back and they're finally just starting to open up that new window with all these new guys now. So the definitely bright times for the Baltimore Orioles, and we'll see if they add pieces in the winter to bolster this roster even more.
Did a great job with Cano and Batista as well as relief pitchers, both all-stars this year. But one more game with the Jays and the Orioles. That goes at about 3 o'clock local time if you want to get in on that at Bet99. But coming up next, it's Lay Your Money Down, the National League edition. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway, Justin Pooney, Sean McCormick in studio. Finger guns. No sound effects today, though, from Sean McCormick.
I'm saving it for the last block.
Okay, all right. We're playing a little Lay Your Money Down National League Edition. We played the American League Edition. Wasn't even called that yesterday, but then I've named it that.
Perfect.
That's a sign of a good host.
Yeah, and the There's lots of stuff on here. We got about 75 things to cover in the next 14 minutes.
Yeah, we got lots of time.
But the first one is lay your money down on a National League team to win the World Series. Justin, I will start with you.
The Atlanta Braves, yes, I said it yesterday. I'm not taking the AL. I'm going to keep my money on the Atlanta Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. If it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani, would be considered the best player in baseball. The Atlanta Braves are a absolute juggernaut this year. They're running away with the National League East, and they're going to run away with it in the National League playoffs and win the World Series. You can book it here today on August the 3rd, 2023.
Tough to argue with.
I can't really argue with it. The Braves are near the top of the league in pitching. They're the best offense in baseball. They have a decent bullpen. Just an all-around, probably the best team in the majors. And they've made the playoffs the last couple of years. They won the World Series, I think, 2 years ago. If my
2021, right?
Yeah. So, that's a smart bet. I just think anything can happen in the playoffs. I'm going to go a little further down the board. We talked a bit yesterday, Rob. I wanted to look at the Padres. Yesterday, they were literally plus 3,400 at Bet99.
Yeah.
Today, they're plus 2,700.
Big win yesterday.
So we mentioned it on the show. People probably went out.
It's the parlay parlay money came in.
Yeah, so it came down a little bit. At plus 2,700, I don't know, that I would much prefer plus 3,400.
They're plus 2,400 to win the National League at all.
Yeah, so
West. Sorry. And I thought that was the National League pennant. I was like, okay, I'll take that. Obviously, go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go a little further down the board, a little different. I like the Braves. I like the Dodgers. I think they both are fantastic teams. I'm gonna go with the team that appeared in the World Series last year, the Philadelphia Phillies, at plus 1,600. I feel like if their pitching staff can get it going and be consistent, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Taijuan Walker, newly acquired Michael Lorenzen as well. And then they have the bats that can do it. So that's my pick, maybe to win the NL or World Series from the NL. So my World Series would be a rematch, which is very boring, but I mean at a good value at plus 1,600. Let's go with the Phillies.
All right.
Okay.
I do like the Braves. I think they're the best team in baseball, but I'm not going to take them. I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres and the Chicago Cubs.
Oh,
Chicago Cubs are about plus 6,500, depending on if you got them pre 36 runs, they would have probably been plus 10,000. But anyway, so they're coming down, and the reason why is because first of all, I think the Cubs can win the division again to the playoffs. Sure. But if they do, much like the Padres, they got to be red hot to do that, and we've seen that before in baseball. Teams get red in any sport really, but if you have to play, look at the Florida Panthers in the NHL. You have to play like playoff hockey in that sense, playoff baseball all the way through. Sure. And all of a sudden you can make a run deep into October and November, and I just think the numbers are so huge that I like the little sprinkle there. Do I think that's going to happen? Of course not. But if the Padres make the playoffs, I really do believe they can win the World Series.
They got the horsepower to get there, right? They got some of the biggest names in baseball on their team, and I think if they can get into the playoffs, and you mentioned they're going to have to go on a bit of a heater because they're 4 games back right now at the final wild card spot. They're going to be playing some really good baseball. You guys got like Blake Snell. You got the big bats like Machado, Tatis, Soto. And look, San Diego has an electric stadium, and they're a good team. You want to see them in the playoffs. You want to see the best players play when it matters the most. So, look, I'm kind of with you. I'd love to see the Padres make a run in October.
Let's take a team sprinkle. We could have a night if they win in November.
Yeah, we'll get Barney on the horn, too.
Yeah, we'll get Barney on the horn.
Yeah,
put his
$1,000 on.
Well, okay, that's aggressive. We probably don't need to do that, but we can definitely put something together because I like the Padres if they make the playoffs. Yeah. Of course, if they don't, then you lose anyway. But I just don't see them making the playoffs and not doing something. That would be pretty disappointing. They make it through the wild card and they lose 2 straight games.
I think they made the NLDS last year.
They did
against
the DS. They lost to the Dodgers.
Phillies. They'll end up playing. Phillies, you're right. More than likely end up playing the team from the NL Central. They should just destroy that team, and then now all of a sudden you're in a 7-game
they're going to beat your Cubs though. You got two competing.
There's a good chance I'm guaranteed to get into the DS, right? All right, that could be the situation. Speaking of the Central, the Brewers are plus 132, the Reds plus 137, and those Cubs are plus 310. Start with you, Justin. Lay your money down. Who's taking the Central?
I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds, currently leading the division. Kind of a young and upstart team. Ellie De La Cruz is the next hottest thing in baseball. Of course, they got a good Canadian content in Joey Votto. This team has, a minus 17 run differential, which is not very good. The Cubs have a plus 77 run differential, but the last 2 games really helped that out a lot. But I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds. It's a good story. I don't think they're going to do much in the playoffs, but I'll take them to win the NL Central this year.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cubs for the reasons that Rob sort of mentioned. One of the hotter teams in baseball right now. Cody Bellinger on fire with the bat. I just really want to see Marcus Stroman turn it around.
Yeah, he's got to do that.
He's gotten dinged up the last few starts, like a 9 ERA over the last little while. So if he can turn it around, I think they can make a run, and I mean, he'd be a fantastic game one starter for them. I agree with Justin. Just like he said with the Reds, I wouldn't expect the Cubs to make much noise in the playoffs, but I don't expect any team from the NL Central to make much noise. So that would be my pick for the Central.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of getting Ellie De La Cruz into the playoffs. I think he's the most exciting thing going on in baseball right now, as you said, Justin. So I'll go with them, plus 137. Obviously, the Cubs, they don't need to win the division for my World Series ticket to cash, so I don't need to take both. And I think that price is decent. It's kind of a crapshoot right now in that division, so we'll go there. Who will win the NL West, Sean? Lay your money down. The Dodgers at minus 667, which means you have to bet $667 to win $100. Or we're taking the Giants plus 620, the Diamondbacks plus 1900, or the Padres plus 2400, which is what I was getting confused with. Which basically means there's almost a better chance that the Padres win the World Series than actually win this division, which is wild, but it's true. They're running out of time.
Yeah, they're so far back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I'll make this quick. It's the Dodgers for me. It's crazy that the Giants are only 2 games back,
and
they're plus 620.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they have what it takes to overtake the Dodgers, so I will say the Dodgers. But it's just interesting. But I just don't think the Giants have the firepower to overtake them.
Dodgers all day, baby. They're typically in that division. You can wrap it up already.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you on the facts of that, but there's no way I'm laying that type of money. If I'm making a pick to lay my actual money down, I'm going with the Giants. Plus 620. They're going to play the Dodgers at some point, and winning 2 games is all they need to do against them. So that's probably the best value in that division. Amazing that the Diamondbacks, after having the start to the season that they did, are now plus 1900. And that the Padres are that far down at all with the lineup they have is a bit of a shock. All right. Will the Philadelphia Phillies make the playoffs? They're actually a pretty big favorite here at minus 334 to make them. Justin, are you laying that, or are you going to go with no at plus 255?
No, I think they're pretty safe in that spot. Again, it's tight, but I think, like as Sean mentioned, they've experienced guys that were a part of that team that went to the World Series last year. Bryce Harper, yes, he's been in and out of the lineup this year, but once he gets going, you got some big bats like Trey Turner as well. You have the pitching staff. I think the Phillies are secure, at least. I think they stay in that second wild card spot. I think the Giants kind of got that first wild card spot wrapped up, but I'll take the Phillies in the playoffs.
Sean?
Yeah, I don't have that definitive. I don't know if it's wrapped up. Again, there's 53 games left, but I would agree. I do have the Phillies as the 5th seed entering the playoffs. I think they can get there with their bats. Again, they've got Schwarber, Castellanos, like you said, Harper Turner as well. So fantastic lineup, and just needs to get a bit better on the pitching side, and they'll walk right into the playoffs and make some noise, I think.
2 teams have to pass them: the Marlins, Brewers, Diamondbacks, Cubs, and Padres. And even if I say the Padres, I don't know if I like any of those other teams as well. To pass them. So it's tough to not give them a spot with the type of firepower they have, but also just the teams that are behind them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to lay my money down on them not making it. So the minus 334, I think, would be the play. Speaking of those Marlins, will they make the playoffs? They seem to be thinking at the book that they're not. Minus 167 for no, Sean, and plus 135 for yes.
Yeah, I like the Marlins. I do. I just... with so many teams and it being so congested, and like I think Yuri Perez on an innings limit, Alcantara has been better lately, but inconsistent this season. A young lineup, maybe they fold a little bit under the pressure as the season winds down. I think this team, similar to the Orioles, has a bright future. I think they've got a lot of young players, a lot of good young players, like Brian De La Cruz in their lineup as well. I just don't. My money would be on no here. I don't think they'll. I think they'll be close. I think it'll come down to the wire, but I think they're gonna fall into the playoffs.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Sean. Look, they have a lot of young pieces. Jorge Soler's had a really good year, 26 home runs. They've missed Jazz Chisholm. He's only played 47 games this year, and he's obviously one of the most electric players in baseball. I think this is a really good story that the Marlins are doing well. This team has not done anything ever in a very, very long time. I think they're doing it the right way, building through their prospect pipeline now. It's a good story. They're going to I think they're going to be one of those teams that are going to be right there, and then kind of last couple of weeks of the season kind of fade out, as Sean mentioned, because of pressure. But going forward into next season, look, this is a team that can spend some money maybe and get a little bit better. But this year, no, I'm going to take them not to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm probably with you guys there, mainly because I think San Diego Padres are going to get into the playoffs and pass them. But they have some nice players. Brian De La Cruz is great. Sandy Alcantara is great. Luis Arraez obviously having a heck of a season as well. But they just don't score a lot of runs. It's weird. It's like you just want to see a breakout sometimes, like just to see the firepower. And I don't know. I pay a lot of attention to baseball games because there's no anything that's going on. I'm not going to pretend like I watch all of the Marlins games,
no.
But you never see the scoreline and go, oh, wow, 12 runs today for the Marlins. You just don't feel that very often.
Not usually, no.
Yeah, so you need easy wins sometimes, right? And they just don't seem to get a lot of easy wins, and so I'm going to go with no as well. Okay, a couple more to get to here. We have a lot. Let's go with, will the San Diego Padres make the playoffs? Right now it's at plus 300. You guys said they're 4 games back. They have to get past the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, and the Brewers. I think they're much better than all of those teams. They've just put themselves in a rather big hole. But at plus 300, I'm going to start. I think that is a really good spot. Now, you remember when they're in Toronto, I was saying that they're trash, and I stared at the camera and said, sorry, Padre fans, they stink.
Yeah.
But I've been proven wrong, and I'll have to give it to you, Sean. You said you think they're going to be a good second-half team, and by all rights, they should be.
Sure, yeah.
But they were not. They were not winning games. That has changed. They decided to stand pat at the deadline. Well, they even made a move as well. Keep all of their big names, and what you see on paper is finally panning out. Whether or not they'll have enough time to get in, I think they will, and I think plus 300 is good value.
Yeah, no, I think that's great value. I'm with you on that. I was very high on this team in the second half, and obviously a team that competed last year and had a lot of the same players on the team this year as well. They have the best best pitching staff in baseball. Blake Snell coming out of nowhere as a NL Cy Young guy. I don't know if he'll catch Spencer Strider, but yeah, and then you've got Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, and again, we've talked about the offense of this team. It will come down to the offense being more consistent because the pitching staff has been great. They're 12th in the majors in OPS as an offense. So again, they have the names, they have the talent. It's just win some games, and they have a good run differential.
They got up to a very poor start this season. They kind of set themselves behind the 8 ball, kind of like what the Jays did the last couple of years, right? You kind of gotta, instead of banking wins in the beginning of the year, you gotta have that added pressure now to go on a run. I think with players that have been in the playoffs with like these guys, I think they can do it. I'm going to take the Padres to make the playoffs. There's too much talent on this roster to not make a playoff run. And I think, like we mentioned with the other teams ahead of them, they're young in some instances, like the Marlins. The Brewers have been, whatever. So I think, let's ride the Padres train to the playoffs.
I agree, especially the teams that are in front of them, too. I mean, the Marlins, the Brewers, Diamondbacks, and Cubs, you're going to need help, but at least those are the teams. There was a time when that was the Dodgers there because the Diamondbacks were first in the division. I just think that the names in front of them, you're going to need all of those teams, to play about 500 baseball and go on a heater, but I think that's really doable for the Padres. So, I've convinced myself I'm going to put a little sprinkle on both of them to make the playoffs and to win the World Series. After this, though, it's the Parleh. Sean, you're sticking around, and we'll see you after this. All right, time to wrap the show here on Bet99's The Parleh Show, and that means it's time for the Parleh. Now, we were 2 for 3 the last 2 times, but then the last time out, not good.
Donut.
Yeah,
but
big zero.
Oh, damn.
We have equity in the bank still from
big time
Friday,
equity, yes.
so we
do have lots of equity in the bank, and the confidence is still there.
Very
Sky
high.
high.
Oh,
Sky high for sure. All right, so the Parleh for today. We heard from Barney. I was shocked he didn't take his Jets. He took his Toronto Blue Jays. He's coming off a big win there. Kevin Gausman on the mound against Jack Flaherty, who's making his debut, and they are minus 157 currently at Bet99. And Justin, where are you going?
I'm going with Barney's Jets. Jets.
Let's go.
I think it's minus 2.5 right now.
Yeah, line's moving up. The money's coming in on the Jets.
So you know what? Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback. I don't know who the hell's going to be playing for the Browns. Josh Dobbs, maybe? Could be. I don't even know who. But he's got a lot to prove. So I'm going to go with Zach Wilson and the New York Jets to win this game in Canton, Ohio, ladies and gentlemen. Football is back.
Football is back. Love it. All right, where are we going with, Sean?
I'm going to take the Cubs run line. I don't know who's pitching. I don't know who's hitting. No, I'm just kidding. It's Tyon versus Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver has not been good in the last few starts for the Reds. At least 3 or 4 earned runs in his last 3 starts. Tyon has been fantastic. Just 1 run earned in his last 2 starts each. So, and the Cubs just beating up on the Reds the last couple of games, scoring a combined 36 runs the last 2 days. Let's go with a little run line for the Cubs.
Aggressive to take the run line.
Plus money.
Plus
the
120.
plus money.
And didn't want to settle for the minus 160 on just the straight money line.
money.
But hey, it's your play. You're allowed to do whatever you
thanks,
like.
man.
And I don't mind the little extra plus money. For me, I'm going with the Astros on the road against the Yankees. Christian Javier on the mound. Clark Schmidt starting for the Yankees. Minus 110. That altogether plays plus 1210 as we try and get back into the win circle. Big news here in Toronto, though, before we wrap the show.
Oh, man.
Here he goes.
One Taylor Swift. If you watch the show a lot, you know my family are Swifties, and we're going to Madrid, apparently, to watch her. Yeah. But now 6 shows
In Toronto.
I
I will not be attending any of them.
That's like 350,000 tickets, and they're all sold out.
No, definitely they'll all sell out, and they'll all be $400 a ticket, and everybody will be happy, thrilled to pay for it.
I won't be, but
Cash is parlay. You could.
Yeah, there you go. That'll get you half a seat at the at the show. Well, for Justin, Sean, and thanks very much to Matthew Barnaby, I'm Rob Conway in Toronto. We will see you here tomorrow on Bet99's The Parleh Show.